been on YouTube for almost a decade, which is insane. And a few years ago, I made a very conscious decision to stop growing my channel in order to grow my business and my impact in the way that I wanted to. I know that sounds really strange, but here are just a few things that happened when I made this decision. It allowed me to identify the exact kind of content my ideal client wants and needs. It allowed me to be discovered on autopilot by the right clients on YouTube, enroll the most amazing humans into my online programs where we help experts package their expertise into online course businesses, and we've got hundreds of incredible video case studies on a completely separate channel, and that just proves how willing and ready these clients are to do the work. And we've added over $1 million in profit to my business in the last year, and to date, we've generated over $30 million in sales. And it all depends on 6 key aspects of this very weird but very effective strategy. If you're excited about this, give this video a like. Be sure to subscribe for new videos every single week. And if you're serious about monetizing your skill set and your expertise, I've created a guide just for you, and you can grab it for free in the description below. And it's 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact while detaching your time from your income. You got nothing to lose. Go grab it and download it now. I know it's gonna be really, really helpful for you. So if you are using YouTube or want to use YouTube for your business as an entrepreneur, business owner, and you want to generate leads and clients on autopilot that truly are perfect for your business, then this video truly is for you. So the first step of the strategy is I aimed for lower views, but higher quality viewers and more ideal viewers. And so a big piece of this is understanding that by attracting an entire mass audience of people, you kind of scratch the surface in the people you're bringing to your channel, which ultimately can really hurt you in the algorithm down the road. And so I want to explain that further in a next part of the strategy. But for this first part, to visually share this with you, I created a video years and years ago called "Once I Figured This Out, I Became a Millionaire." What that video did is it brought in a ton of viewers, hundreds of thousands of viewers, but because the title was so broad, it brought in a really broad audience of people, not necessarily the ideal client for my business, which are experts and people who have a specific skill set that they want to scale using an online education business. So because it's so broad, it confuses the algorithm. So by aiming for lower numbers of views, but higher quality viewers, it leads to higher numbers inside of my actual business and people going to the actual business and being vested in actually doing the work and working with myself and my team. So a different take on that title that I did just recently is "Once I Figured This Out, My Course Made Millions." So you'll understand why I used those words a little bit later, because my channel is really dedicated to having authority in the online course, online education business space. The more that I focus on those titles, the more of the people that are interested in that and invested in that, in learning about it and actually taking action, are going to watch my videos and therefore are going to then want to work with me instead of reaching a mass audience of people who are more so looky-loos and what I call drive-by viewers, because they may watch one video and then never return again. And the difference in views is staggering. Like I said, a couple 100,000 to 12,000, but when you have 12,000 ideal viewers watching your videos, that's a lot of potential clients and leads. And knowing your numbers of how many people you actually need to work with on a monthly, yearly basis is gonna make it much more simple in terms of understanding that you don't need all the views in the world or virality to build a really solid, consistent business. For us, we know that our magic number is around 500 clients a year. That's not necessary for us to go and have all these million view videos and be on this massive stage. And oftentimes, if we were going after that, we'd be defeating the purpose of who we're actually trying to reach and get missed by the people we're trying to reach. So on a tactical level, how you bring this together and how you actually execute on this is, years ago, I created something called the Sunny System Formula on YouTube, and we've had thousands of people use this in so many different niches. And the general gist of this is you want to have high search volume relative to the size of your channel, because you don't want to go into the deep end of going after, millions and millions of searches a month when you're a brand new channel. So inside of our programs, we really work to make sure that you're at the right sweet spot. The next piece is you want to have low competition. So high search volume, lots of people searching for a topic, and low competition means that you're going to be seen and you're going to be ranking in the search results on YouTube, which brings in automatic leads and traffic and sales all day, every day, because you're being discovered nonstop. And then the final piece of this is views versus velocity and views versus time. And what that means is if you, let's say, have a topic you want to talk about and you search it on YouTube and you see, okay, oh, there's another video on this topic. The channel has 100,000 subscribers and the video is 5 years old, but it has 5 views. What does that tell you? Not a very good topic. What you're looking for is a video that's maybe been out for a month and the channel has 200 subscribers, but the video has, let's say, 1,000 views, way more than subscribers, which means it's getting picked up in suggested search and browse traffic sources, which is great and ultimately what you want. And I'll talk about that in detail a little bit later. And more importantly, you want to see that there are quality engaged comments on that video because that tells you that your ideal client is actually there watching, listening intently and engaged. And it means it's going to be a great topic for you to have your unique take on it to create on your own channel. The next step of the strategy is to know your metrics that matter. So yes, there's all these metrics on YouTube that are really important, but really there's 2 key metrics on YouTube that as a business owner, not just as somebody who's trying to go viral and rack up a ton of views, are vitally important. So I'll talk about those in a second. But first and foremost, you need to know how many clients and how many leads you need to be bringing in on a monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis in your business. And that's going to help you understand how many views are actually necessary for you to make a sustainable business. For an example, we can say that, let's say you do want to have 100 clients over the next year. That's your goal. Whatever your number of clients is that you want to attract over the next year, that's going to tell you how many leads you need. Because if you base it off of kind of an industry average of, let's say, a 20% conversion rate or whatever your average conversion rate is from a lead to a sale, you want to times that if it's 20% by 5. So 100 times 5 would be 500. You need 500 leads in order to achieve that 100 clients for the next year. That means that your videos do not need to be racking up a ton of views in order for you to attract that exact number of leads to generate in your business, to create consistency and stability and predictability in your business. And then on YouTube itself, what are the most key metrics as an entrepreneur or business owner on YouTube? CTR and retention. You want people to click on the video and you need people to watch the video. So what happens when I do, let's say, a broad topic, like once I figured this out, I became a millionaire. I'm attracting so many different eyeballs for so many different reasons. That means that a lot of people are clicking on that video, but generally when you have a viral topic or a surface level topic, it's going to be low retention, meaning that people aren't really going to watch the whole thing because they're probably not that invested. And it's going to get you maybe a high CTR, but the rest of the metrics will fall off. And so that's not necessarily a good indicator that that video is high quality just because it has views, because the real indication is, are those viewers clicking on the video and actually watching the whole thing? Because if they're not watching the whole thing, they're not likely to actually take action with you and your business. The next part of the strategy is focusing on what I call bottom of the funnel content. When we are looking at content strategy, there's really 3 tiers to it. You have your top of the funnel, which reaches more surface broad audience that's more cold and doesn't really know why they would need to work with you or what your topic really is all about. You have your middle of the funnel content where they're a little bit more warm and they're a little bit more interested. And then you have bottom of the funnel content, which is super hot, invested leads. And so by focusing on bottom of the funnel content, it hurts you on an ego level because you're maybe not racking up as many views as you want, but on a business level, it makes you very, very happy. Some of my videos with the least amount of views have generated the most impact and income for our business. That tends to be a consistent theme. Why? If you're paying attention in the first couple of steps here, the more targeted your topic is, the more targeted the viewer is, the more hot of a lead they ultimately are, and the more likely they are to actually take action to work with you in your business. So at the beginning of my channel, my content strategy was all over the place. Now I know that whenever I create content topics, I focus on one specific ideal client. That is who I'm making my content for. Now, to bring this all together, I created this flywheel for exponential growth for entrepreneurs on YouTube, and it all starts with having your viewer in mind first, which really is, who is your ideal client? And what specifically do they need and want from you? And what are their specific pain points? And how can you speak to that person instead of the masses so you can reach them with each video that you put out? From there, you want to make hyper relevant content for that exact ideal client. From there, the algorithm starts to categorize your channel and your videos. So you start to build authority for whatever that topic is. And then from there, you get pushed out from YouTube's internal traffic sources, search, suggested, and browse. And that helps you get seen by more of those ideal viewers without you putting in any more work. But if you don't start with the ideal viewer in mind, your ideal client, and hyper relevant content, your videos are gonna go nowhere. You're not gonna generate any leads or sales from your videos, and you're gonna be really frustrated at the lack of growth across the board. And you'll notice on my channel, if you're in a creator space on YouTube, which is very different, and I've talked about this often, it's a game of trying to get as many views and eyeballs on your content as possible. Whereas for an entrepreneur or a business owner, it's all about accuracy. So I say that it's audience versus accuracy. And we want it to be hyper accurate so that you are reaching the right people. And so if you look at my own channel, my traffic source on my channel is search, meaning that people are searching specific topics that are relevant to my ideal client, things like how to create an online education business, how to create an online course, how to sell an online course, etc. And they're finding me popping up at each turn. And we've worked with thousands of people using this strategy. And what our whole goal is that you kind of are becoming a bit of a stalker. So wherever people look, they're finding you. Wherever your ideal client is looking, you want to think, how can I show up in front of them? What are the topics and titles they would be searching for? And this means that your traction with your YouTube videos isn't going to be this explosive amount of views at the very beginning. What it is it's this like slow burn of accumulating more and more views over time. Why? Because if you're ranking in search results, you're being discovered by new people every single day that are clicking on that video, and the views and traction just start to grow over time. And every person who's clicking on it is really that ideal viewer because the topic is so targeted. And when it comes to focusing on bottom of the funnel content, you may have heard me say this in the past, but we want to focus on profitable versus Googleable topics. And what I mean by that is, for example, if I make a video called how to get more views on YouTube, that's attracting everyone and their dog who wants to go viral on YouTube. And now those are videos that I used to make a long time ago, but what it does is it attracts the wrong audience and the wrong ideal viewer. So now I'll make titles like The Ultimate Guide to Generating Leads from Your YouTube Channel. Hyper specific, much less of an audience, but much more of a targeted audience. And on that note, I've actually created an entire playlist about growing your business on YouTube, so you can check that out in the description below. Number 4 is what I call synchronized metadata. Now that might sound like absolute gibberish to you, but what I noticed when I started my channel years and years ago is that a very small portion of videos accounted for the most success or growth or metrics on the channel. So you could have hundreds of videos, but it's really like 5 to 10 of them that are driving the most growth. And if you look at your own analytics, you'll probably notice the same thing. So in an ideal world, if I were to start all over again, I would tackle this very differently because those videos that are generating, the most traction or metrics are not necessarily bottom of the funnel content topics. They're kind of broad. So I've been working my way into synchronizing the metadata for topics that are hyper targeted to my ideal client. What this means is because YouTube is based off of data and the algorithm wants to categorize you and your channel, this works in your favor as an entrepreneur. So what you need to do is make sure that you're building authority for the topic that you want to be seen and known for. So for myself, as I've mentioned, it's things like online course businesses, online courses, education business, etc. So what I want to make sure is that in my titles, I'm including what the keyword is that I want to have authority for, and therefore what does that do? It allows me to show up in more places and get pushed in more traffic sources to people interested in that topic. And that helps you build authority on autopilot. Now, if we take this a step further, this is why long tail titles as a business owner are so important. And what that means is that they're a little bit longer and more detailed than just a general generic title. And again, at this point in the video, I'm actually gonna ask you, comment below with why it would be important to have a longer title and a more specific title. Let me know in the comments below, a little pop quiz. Pause the video so you don't cheat. So when it comes to creating a longer tail title, let's just use an example. If I were to create a video called How to Sell, that could appeal to people selling cars, selling courses, selling their services, selling websites, selling anywhere, Amazon, etc. So that means I'm gonna get a bunch of random people clicking on that video that are not focused, and it's gonna kill my metrics and kill my retention, and also just attract this broad audience who won't be interested in any of my other videos that are more specific. So that's gonna kill the momentum in the algorithm and the authority in the algorithm, because I'm not gonna own how to sell because how to sell is so broad in such a general category. To take that a step further, to make it more long tail, it would be how to sell on Etsy. Even more specific, you could say something like how to sell custom golf balls on Etsy. I made that up, but that's very specific. If that's your niche, that's the kind of title you want to work with, because what's it going to do? Attract the right eyeballs. And in order to really hone in on what your authority is and where you're building your authority on YouTube, and to kind of reinforce that metadata to the algorithm to say, hey, this is what I want to be known for, show me to more people who are interested in this in the traffic sources like search, suggested, and browse. A little trick, not really a trick, but just a tactic that we use is we create these mini hyper-targeted playlists. So for example, I created a playlist after this video that you can go watch on growing your business using YouTube. That is very specific. It's not about going and getting more views on YouTube. It's about growing your business on YouTube. So that's going to attract targeted eyeballs, get more traction on those videos, get more watch time on those videos, and that's going to help the algorithm. This is a topic that we should definitely be thinking about categorizing this channel in and pushing more of these kinds of viewers to this channel. Number 5, I harp on this a lot, but it's so important as a business owner. I focused very early on building an audience off of YouTube because the algorithm can change. Anything could happen. You want to make sure that you own your audience. And the only way to do that is to generate and grow an email list. And so making sure that you're creating value-driven content that is specific to your ideal client and ideal viewer. And what that does is then if you create something that they can then take a step further, let's say it's a guide, an ebook, a PDF, whatever it may be, a specific website, specific email list they can sign up for, it's going to drive targeted people to that list. And what does that do for your overall business? It means that when you send emails to your list, you're going to have really high open rates and really high click-through rates, which is ultimately going to benefit how many conversions you have in the business as well. And you're not having to rely on the algorithm and YouTube only to reach your clients and to convert your clients. And I created a whole video on this topic on how to grow your email list. And you don't even need to necessarily have a YouTube channel to do this in the beginning. So if you want to check out that video, I'll put it in the playlist below. And the final thing is I play the long game. Now that might sound like a weird thing to say in terms of strategy, but what it means is I have been doing this a long time. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen people blow up and be the next big thing and then fizzle out and disappear. And oftentimes that's coming from creator burnout. And that is so common in this space, especially when you're only quantifying your success based on views and subscribers and nothing else. So the success of my channel is based on the quality of the comments, the retention that my videos are getting, and really those are the big things. So I want to make sure people are clicking and actually watching the video and are engaged in the video and the right people and the right audience. That's what's most important. So when you play that game, it makes it less of this sort of hamster wheel of constantly trying to beat each video and more about going deep, not wide, with the right audience that you want to attract. And I also know exactly what's expected of me on my channel. I really have stuck to 1 video a week. We now do 3 videos a month because we do 1 live case study interview on our other channel, which you can always go and check that out. And so it's really manageable. I'm doing between 30 to 40 videos a year. And because I'm focused on bottom of the funnel content as an entrepreneur, I can batch my content and get really far ahead with it. So I'm not making YouTube the core focus. It's a vehicle. It's not the vehicle for my business. So it's just a vehicle to drive traffic and impact to you and ultimately to help you come to a place where maybe you're like, yeah, I think I want to take this a step further and ultimately work with your business or your team or be in your program. And so I've planted so many seeds with my videos on YouTube and I'm being discovered by so many people every day. It just becomes this machine that ultimately can work for you. And so you don't have to work as much and I don't have to chase or try and beat the algorithm. And what I will say about YouTube as a vehicle for impact is it's one of the most amazing tools I ever could have kind of fallen into, because when I started on this platform, I didn't know what I was doing, but the depth of the impact you can have is directly related to how intentional you are with your content and how relevant it is to the people who need you most. Not to everybody, but to the people who need you most. So give me a heck yes in the comments if that makes sense to you and if it actually makes you feel a little bit of relief in how you're going to do this moving forward. And like I said, if you're really serious about this, I've created a free guide for you, and it's all about the 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money. So I know it'll be really helpful for you and it's super value packed. So be sure to grab it below. Like I said, it's free, you got nothing to lose. If this was helpful for you, be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe for new videos each week if you are the ideal viewer. And be sure to check out the playlist that I mentioned. Next, it's going to be extra resources and additional education to help you kind of put this all together. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.